Hello and hello, welcome back to There Is Still Hope. Thank you so much for joining me and thank you for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I am Ndalenga and I am the founder of There Is Still Hope. There Is Still Hope is a place where we are encouraged to move away from past sorrows and move on and embrace a life that matters. My channel focuses on faith, hope, personal development and mental health, and today we will be talking about mental health. Just to make a disclaimer, I am not a mental health profession, reason why from time to time I will be calling in those who are experts in mental health. And today I have someone who's going to explain to us what mental health is and everything else that pertains to mental health. If this is anything that interests you, please stick around. As I mentioned earlier, I am not alone today. I have someone with me, and she is a registered nurse who specializes in mental health. She will be talking to us about what mental health is, what the difference is between mental health and mental illnesses, the primary signs of mental health. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm excited to have you. Welcome to There Is Still Hope.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm also glad to be part of this interview. My name is Diidalelwa. I'm actually a nurse by profession, and I've done my specialization in mental health. I've been doing community awareness on mental health for more than 20 years now, but I'm sitting here not representing the ministry or anyone else. I am representing myself as a community activist in mental health issues.
Thank you for joining me. Many of us don't understand the concept of mental health, and we're so privileged to have a mental health activist today on There Is Still Hope. Tell us, what exactly is mental health?
Okay, when we talk about mental health, in many people's minds, what comes to their mind is mental illness. But it's never like that. There's a difference between mental health and mental illness. When we talk about mental health, we talk about a person's ability to enjoy life, your ability to be productive in your society, your ability to handle and cope with normal life stresses, your ability to realize your own potential as a human being and to contribute productively to your society. You know, you will find a person who is not mentally healthy is a negative of what I have said. Someone will be, whenever he gets or she gets into stresses of life, cannot cope. So that's not what we are saying about mental health. Being mental health is your ability to be resilient, to be able to handle normal life, to be happy, to contribute in your society and in your own life, and to have a good relationship with your fellow human beings. That's what it means to be mental health, just to be in general. Of course, it involves many things, but that's a general picture of a person who is mentally healthy.
Listening to what you just explained now, what is the difference between mental health and mental illnesses then?
Yeah, the opposite of mental health is now mental illness. When a person is mentally ill, there is a disturbance in the mind of a person. And this disturbance can be seen in the, I think, 4 main areas of your life. In your behaviors, in your emotions, in the way you speak, and in the interaction between you and other people. As I said, a mentally healthy person has got this good relationship with other fellow human beings. But a person who is mentally sick, you will find a difference. For example, the person wants to be alone, the person have got mood change. Today is happy, tomorrow is not happy. The person have gone to the level whereby he's having like seeing things, hearing things, having wrong beliefs. For example, I'm being witched, or people don't like me. So these are the 4 main areas of a person's life which might be affected by mental illness. As I said, it's in the behaviors, it's in the way you speak, and the way you are perceiving things. This is when you hear voices, you see things, or you smell funny things, or you feel your something is wrong with your body. You don't have. There are people, to the extent that the person believes that I don't have intestines, or my heart is swollen, or what. Those are perceptions which is in a person's life which might be affected by mental illness. So if those areas are disturbed, then you will see this person is normal, fine.
So what you're saying is, to that person it looks real, but in reality it's not real.
Yeah, to some people it looks real. Although there are those, I call them lucky ones, who may realize that this is not how I have been, something has changed. I'm no longer happy, or there are times when I see funny things, or when I hear a voice calling me but there's no one. But with some people, they don't realize it until it goes to a level of completely illness. So it is in both ways. Some can see it, some may not see it. To the extent, that's why you see them saying, I'm not sick, it's you who's sick. If you say, can I please take you to the hospital, you are not yourself these days. No, there's nothing wrong with me. It's maybe you who's sick, not me.
So someone can be sick and actually not know that they're sick.
Yes, someone can be sick and not know. Even if you bring it to that person's attention that something is wrong with you, the person may still not see it until it goes to a very far stage.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us the insights on mental health and mental illnesses. At least now we understand the difference. What causes mental illnesses?
Mental illness can be caused by many factors. But I always want to focus on the one which is prevalent in Namibia, in our society. Number one will be problems in life, be it in relationships, due to poverty, due to unemployment, neglect or suffering, mistreating each other or abuses. Anything which can give pressure to your mind can cause mental illness. And in Namibia, we are seeing a lot of issues happening here.
Yes.
Domestic violence gives pressure to the brain. Abuse, as I said, it gives pressure to the brain. Unemployment, it gives pressure to the brain. Mistreatments, poverty, everything which gives pressure to the brain. It leads to stress, and then if you are not treated, or if you did not look for help, it leads to depression. And once you get into depression, you are already suffering from mental illness. Depression is one of the major illnesses in mental illness categories. So you get into depression and you are suffering from mental illness. The other one, which is common in Namibia, like among the youth, is drugs. Drugs goes to the person's brain. It interferes with brain cells. It causes the death of brain cells, and it can lead to mental illness. The other major one can be illnesses. There are viruses which goes into the brain and cause mental illness. We know of HIV, we know of cancers, we know of corona. We remember nowadays what happened with corona. Corona affected the brain, and some people end up with forgetfulness, confusion. Any disease which enters the brain cells can cause mental illness. Or a person who is suffering from a physical disease like hypertension and cancer, and he's been suffering for a very long time, will develop pressure or stress in his brain. I've been suffering for a very long time and there's no treatment and people don't care about me. As a result, you give up and get into depression. Or goes beyond depression, and then you start seeing things and hearing voices and start running around. But it all started with the pressure of having cancer. The other cause can be accidents, injury to the brain. You know, we look at people who are suffering from mental illness and say It's for those people, it's not for me. Anything which cause injury to the brain, be it a car accident, be it somebody hit you in the head, or a woman was pregnant and then they was kicked by a boyfriend or by the husband in the tummy and the child got brain injury, it can lead to mental illness. Yeah, those are some of the common causes of mental illness. Of course, there are others. Yeah, chemicals also. We are now living in war. Some chemicals can also enter the brain and cause brain problems.
I heard you speaking about drugs. I believe it's drug abuse when you start abusing drugs.
Yes.
What about alcohol abuse?
Alcohol is part of drugs. Although we tend to ignore that alcohol is not part of drug. If you go into literature in books, alcohol is part of illicit drugs. So things like alcohol, caffeine, which we get in coffee and Coke and what, we think those are not drugs, but they are drugs. If you are abusing Coke, it's like you are a drug abuser. So those are all types of drugs which can interfere with your brain. With alcohol, it's even more worse that you see people getting brain injury by alcohol. It kills brain cells, and then a person becomes mentally sick.
Listening to you just now, you related more to what affects adults. What about children?
Okay, mental illness affects all ages, from the day you are born up to the day you die, because there's also mental illness in elderly. But to answer your question, yes, mental illness does affect kids. There are different illnesses which are in category known to be the diseases of mental illness in children. For example, we have got attention deficit in children. These kids who are up and down, they can't keep still, they are running and they are full of energy. So they get admitted in hospitals and they get put on treatment. There are conditions like autism, conditions like bedwetting. And kids, we tend to believe that the people who suffer from stresses is only adults. Kids, they also do suffer from stress, especially if they are going through pressure in life. Children who are in abusive homes, children who are bullied at schools or at homes, children who are neglected. So they tend to suffer from mental illness, especially if they are not removed from that dangerous situation as early as possible. As they grow, the signs and the symptoms will come out. We have seen a lot of adults who are now coming out in their adulthood, but the trauma was done when they were young. And the main challenges which is now facing children in Namibia in terms of mental illness is drugs, as I said earlier. We have got children as younger as 9 years old who are admitted in mental institutions, suffering from mental illnesses as a result of abusing drugs, which they are exposed by adults. The danger of the drugs in children is the brain has got up to a certain stage where it stops growing. With children, when they damage their brain cells with drugs at that younger age, the damage is more severe than an adult who have started using drugs, because the brain was still growing, and then here they are interrupting it with the dangerous effects of cocaine or dagga or any. It's more dangerous in children, and even the symptoms tend to be more severe, and even the treating these kids to come back to normal is a challenge, because they started while the brain was still growing. The brain was like interrupted while it was still growing by drugs.
So the effects are more than an adult whose brain has already fully developed?
Yeah. So the adult might go through a rehabilitation, and maybe when he stops, he might come back to normal, although maybe not to a full extent. But with a child, my point here is with a child, the damage is more severe because the brain was still growing.
Okay.
If you don't look for help as early as possible, the damage might be too big to reverse. Like I said, especially in children, when they start using drugs at the early age, the intervention might not be able to reverse the person back to normal if the damage was too big.
Well, guys, to anyone who's watching me for the first time, please do subscribe and become part of the family. And to my subscribers, thank you for joining me again today. Till next time, I'm Ndalenga.
And I'm Magdalena.
To my next episode, it's a bye-bye from us.